Hey dudes, welcome back to another Dragonball FighterZ video. We recently got confirmation that a balance patch is going to be coming to Dragonball FighterZ, so in today's video I wanted to make a tier list based on exactly that, organizing different characters on how badly they need buffs or nerfs. Also, feel free to let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. So getting right into this, I think Android 16, this dude is on life alert, man. Nobody plays this character. We went from everyone playing this character season 1, granted there was less characters so the likelihood of people playing him was higher, but he was really strong and he's kind of fallen off the map tremendously. Maybe he actually belongs there. I think that's probably a little bit more fair, to be honest, but he certainly needs some help. Android 17, I think for the most part he's pretty okay. Maybe some changes here or there, some like little tiny minor things that wouldn't really qualify as nerfs or buffs, but I think he's pretty balanced. Android 18, I gotta put her in the same spot. I mean, she's a really powerful character if you ask me, so I think it's fair to put her here. Android 21, the actual like normal Android 21, I honestly think she deserves a little tiny bit of a nerf. Now, I love Android 21. I actually play her. I've played her pretty much since the game came out, but even I gotta admit, she's really strong. And while I don't mind strong characters, the amount of mix and options that she has is kind of out of this world. Bardock, I think, can use a couple of buffs. Honestly, since they're developing him a little bit more in the manga, I wouldn't mind seeing a new move added to his repertoire, kind of like we got new moves for some of the cast throughout different seasons. I think they can do that with Bardock since they're trying to develop him as a character all over again. Now, Beerus is one of those characters where honestly, I feel like just his flat out kit that he has isn't really good at Dragon Ball FighterZ in general. Now, don't get me wrong, the character is really strong in the right hands. Like if you play against a really good Beerus player, they're gonna put you in your place. But the whole entire idea of set play and kind of setting up the orbs around the screen that you can kind of control space with doesn't really work in Dragon Ball FighterZ when pretty much everyone has a beam and everyone, for the most part, has a super dash that completely bypasses that. So with that, I feel like he can use some extra tools that'll help him control the space a little bit easier. Now here's our boy Super Broly. I feel like this guy can use some buffs. To be honest, I don't play the character enough in order to know exactly what to buff. He does have the 2L, which is really fast, so I don't think his auto combo string necessarily needs a buff, although it's one of the worst auto combos, if not the worst auto combo in the game. But maybe there's something else about this character that can kind of be tweaked a little bit in his favor. Some extra points of armor on his heavy attack, who knows? You guys let me know. Z Broly, all right. You guys are gonna hate me for this one. You guys are gonna absolutely hate me for this one. I don't think he's all that bad. I do think the dude's armor is a little bit too much. I know it goes with his lore. I know it kind of fits his whole entire character and persona, but it promotes people making mistakes, getting away with it, and then thinking that was the right move because they got away with it. But then they make the same mistake with a different character, and it shows immediately that, you know, they were just going through the flow chart of Broly as opposed to actually knowing what they were doing. And I feel like any gameplay mechanic in any video game that kind of promotes making mistakes and getting away with it is not really the best gameplay mechanic. I'm not saying we should get rid of his armor, I'm just saying maybe put, you know, tweak it down just a little bit. For example, maybe he only has armor on his heavy attacks, or just his specials in general, and stuff of that sort. Captain Ginyu, alright, he's an endangered species, but he definitely does not need buffs or nerfs at all. I think the dude is completely fine as he is, and we're just gonna leave him right there. Same thing with Perfect Cell, I don't think he really needs many changes, and if he does, a little tiny tweak here or there. But somebody I think desperately needs help is Cooler, for sure, 100%. This dude needs some love. Here we have another hulking character who was absolutely taking shots to the face with no problem at all from Goku, and yet our man here doesn't have any armor. Why is it Mr. Shinhan here gets armor, Nappa gets armor, which I'm not even mad at, but Cooler doesn't get armor at all on anything? And Cooler's a really slow character. If there's anybody who can benefit from armor, it's definitely Cooler, and it does fit into his lore. Granted, he wasn't the hulking behemoth that Z Broly was, but he was still taking shots from, I believe, Super Saiyan Goku. On that note, Frieza also has to get some buffs, maybe more along the lines of here. I mean, he's not really all that powerful, but I feel like with his golden form, if we put him down here and we substantially buff this dude, then his golden form immediately becomes super powerful, right? So I feel a little bit more comfortable putting him around here. Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta. I feel like this dude dishes out the damage, something fierce, and that 2M from full screen catches me. But in all honesty, getting caught by that 2M is completely my fault, so I don't think he really needs all that many changes. Maybe some damage tweaks here or there, maybe some frame adjustments here or there, like tiny little things in order to rein him down just a little bit, but I wouldn't really consider them nerfs because they wouldn't be super severe. So you might say here or here. I think either of these two places is kind of fair for him, but you guys let me know what you think about that. I'll leave him here for now. Adult Gohan, this dude needs help. He needs help desperately. My man has never felt like a complete character since day one of Dragon Ball FighterZ. The fact that you need to dump levels into this dude just to make him feel like a complete character is crazy. There's not a single other character in this game that you feel you have to spend meter on to make them a complete character. And yet, Gohan has that fate. Hopefully with the new movie coming out, they either decide to buff the dude or they add a whole new Gohan DLC, which I wouldn't even be mad at, that makes that version of Gohan really powerful. But he definitely needs some help. Goku Black, they've been showing him a lot of love recently, and I still feel like he's got a couple of problems that they can definitely tweak, so I'll put him over here, although it might be possible to put him here, but I don't play enough of him in order to warrant putting him down here, so you guys let me know which one he kind of deserves to be in. Team Gohan, I almost never see anybody play this character, and I myself don't play him, but I'll tell you what, he's a headache when I do play against him, so I'll say he's pretty fair as he is. There's nothing wrong with having a strong character, and he does seem pretty strong, so I'll leave him right there. And the same thing with GT Goku. He might actually warrant a couple of tiny buffs, and that's why I feel comfortable putting him there. Blue Goku also seems fair. He's got a couple of strong options, but there's nothing wrong with being strong, so we'll leave him there. Super Saiyan Goku also feels like he's pretty strong, so maybe a couple of tweaks once again. I don't think UI Goku needs any substantial nerfs, right? I don't think he's to that extent. And I'll be 100% honest, while his light attack spamming can be super annoying, sure, and while he does get an absolute metric ton of damage for doing pretty much nothing at all, I do think he's overall very fair, and he's just really annoying. I think I feel most comfortable leaving him right up here. I don't think he really needs all that many nerfs. He feels pretty fair overall. Base Goku also feels pretty fair. I'm confident leaving him there. And Gotenks, I feel like he can comfortably fit there as well. This game is pretty well balanced, and with Hit, I honestly wouldn't mind if they kind of upped his damage a little bit. Am I crazy for saying that? I feel like they can up his damage and not really see much consequence from that. From Janemba, now this dude right here, I think he's got some of the coolest combos in the game, and honestly, if they made some of his attacks just a little bit faster, maybe that could open up some new combo routes. I have no idea, but I think he can use some love in that department, so I feel fine putting him in the buff section. Jiren, alright, can we just get the try something counter back, please? And for Kefla, I wouldn't mind if she had more damage. She's also another character who's got really cool combos, but it seems like a lot of her combos don't really dish out as much damage as you would think that they could. Don't get me wrong, she's capable of like really dishing out some strong stuff, but I don't think a little bit more damage would really hurt anybody. I mean, it would hurt by definition, but I don't think it'd be too much of a problem to increase her damage very slightly. Kid Buu is fine. Leave the man alone. Stop nerfing him. He's meant to mix, and that's what he does. Like, he's literally built for mix, and he does that very well. Let the dude be. Krillin is also, I think he's fine where he is. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that. Maybe, let's be honest, I wouldn't mind if this man's 2H got severe buffs, but, you know, that's kind of baked into his anatomy, so I think we're stuck with that one, and I think we're comfortable leaving him in the no changes or slight tiny changes here or there. Well, I would love it if Fat Buu got some serious buffs, because I think the character is absolutely awesome, and I love seeing Fat Buu players go nuts with this dude. I do think he's overall fine for the most part. Maybe some buffs here or there, so I feel confident putting him there. Master Roshi, man. Definite life alert. Now hear me out. The character is nuts. The character is wild. The character is strong. But I think he's mostly strong because we don't know the character matchup if you're a more casual player. A pro player, I feel like would have no issue busting open a Master Roshi and wreaking absolute havoc. But pro players don't really play him because it takes too much time to learn, so it makes more sense in order to play some of the other stronger characters. So for casual players that play Master Roshi, they open a lot of people up just because the person they're fighting doesn't understand how to block Master Roshi. And then once you finally get in with Master Roshi, you gotta work so hard just to get the combo off in the first place. So my idea with this character is he's really difficult to play. That's just baked into his actual moveset, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes him unique, and that's cool. I like that. But reward people who put in the time and effort in order to actually master that. Next up is my boy Nappa, my favorite character in any fighting game over my lifetime of playing fighting games. And I'm gonna say leave this man alone. Don't touch him at all whatsoever. I don't want any burfs. I don't want any burfs. I don't want any buffs. I don't want anything for this character. Because I don't want him to be buffed to the point where he becomes a blip on people's radar and then they nerf him into the ground in the future. I want him to stay exactly the same. And hopefully if they ever make a Dragonball FighterZ 2, I would love it if they literally copied and pasted this character into the next game. Leave my man alone. I need my Nappa, my Cybermen resets. I need all that stuff. Now Tien, I'm gonna put him in Life Alert. Not necessarily because I want anything buffed per se, but because I want him to get more tools. I want Tien to be fun. He's kind of become a meme in Dragon Ball FighterZ for being like the most bland character you can possibly play, which is funny because, I mean, you know, this guy exists and this guy exists, but we don't have to get into that. And it's a shame because he does have some pretty cool things. I mean, he's the only character who could throw babies at people. That's pretty fun if you ask me. All right, this video doesn't get demonetized. Let me stop. If they gave him more command normals, I wouldn't even be mad at that. They recently gave base Goku a command normal in the last patch, and they gave Captain Ginyu a whole level 3. Now, I don't think Tien needs any more of those, but some command normals will do him well. Piccolo, honestly, I think he's fine as is. Maybe for like the higher tier players, those really pro guys, maybe they want him nerfed, but I think in the casual, scene, I think he's pretty fine as he is. Super Baby can use some buffs, I think, because a lot of his pressure, at least from what I've experienced in like the slightly higher ranks of Dragon Ball FighterZ, a lot of his stuff seems pretty fake. I mean, half of his pressure is based on ki blasts, which a lot of the mechanics in the game let you just go ahead and bypass. And as long as you can get him to block something, those ki blasts don't come back. And that's half of his pressure gone. So I wouldn't mind seeing him get a slight buff. Nothing too crazy. I think Trunks is fine where he is, and I'll be honest, I think Blue Vegeta is fine where he is. He's gotten a lot of love recently, and maybe I'm wrong in saying that. Maybe he can use a couple of buffs, but you guys let me know. I think he might be fine where he is. Vegeta's rocket kick, correct me if I'm wrong, but is his rocket kick a little bit worse than, say, base Vegeta's rocket kick? I'm not 100% sure about Super Saiyan Vegeta. I think for the most part he's fine. He just got really power crept, so maybe tweaking a couple things here or there wouldn't be the worst thing, but they would be really tiny buffs. Now we come to Vegito. Look, this is probably one of my least favorite characters to fight against, just because the dude has absolutely no sauce at all whatsoever. Every Vegito player does literally the same combo, but I do think for the most part he is fair. He's annoying, don't get me wrong, those light attacks frustrate me the same way they frustrate all of you guys, but I do think he's fair overall. Videl needs buffs, alright? Videl needs buffs. I wouldn't mind if she had more damage, I wouldn't mind if she had a reflect, but that's just me. But she definitely needs some buffs. With that said, it's not the worst thing for a fighting game to have weak characters, and she definitely fits into that tier, but I feel like she's a little bit too weak, if that makes sense. Yamcha definitely needs buffs. If there is a definition of a character who's gotten power crept, Yamcha is that character. This guy's gotten mistreated through the years, and it's crazy because last patch that we had, they buffed UI Goku. How do you justify giving this guy any? I mean, they buffed Android 21. How do you justify giving her anything when this character exists, desperately begging for scraps and hand-me-downs? Show the man some love. Zamasu, I think he's pretty much fine. I enjoy the character. He's a lot of fun. Maybe some slight buffs here or there, but I don't think he's too strong. I think he works perfectly fine, and I think this is fair for him. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Definite nerfs. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think this guy definitely needs nerfs. I don't need him to be nerfed into the ground. I think one thing Dragon Ball FighterZ has suffered from in its later years is they give their newest DLC characters absolutely everything they possibly can. Fast normals, long range normals, great full screen options. And if they don't have full screen options, they certainly have ways to compensate for that. DPs if possible, multiple level 1s or level 3s that work both in the air and on the ground, which not all the cast can say, a bunch of command normals, great air options, as well as great ground options, as well as ways to mix, so on and so forth. And Gogeta really drives that point home, because he has pretty much everything you could possibly ask for in a character baked into one person. Truly a fusion of all of the best stuff. And I really don't think he needs it. Now for the elephant in the room. Android 21. I'm not gonna lie, I made this tier just for her. Alright, I made this literally just for her. This game is extremely well balanced, and that goes for even this tier of characters up here, like Z, Broly, UI Goku, Gogeta, and Normal 21. But Android 21 in the lab coat stands out above the rest because, like I said for Gogeta, she's got access to pretty much everything. We're talking anti-airs, we're talking extremely fast normals, great range on some of her attacks, full screen options, she's got everything. And to make matters worse, she can go ahead and take your damage and knock it down by 21%, while increasing her own by 21%. And that's really the thing that needs to get nerfed. I don't think people would mind her as much if that wasn't really all that detrimental to the opponent. It's also just not a necessity, not when you have 2 comeback mechanics already in the game. Technically 3, because you have not only sparking, but you also have the boost you get for being the last character alive, but you also gain an extra bar once you're the last character alive. So when you have all of these things as comeback mechanics, you really don't need a level 1 that either takes your comeback mechanic away or gives you an additional comeback mechanic if Android 21 in the lab coat happens to be the last character alive. While I do think this should still apply the buff and the nerf, I just think it should be to a lesser degree. Maybe something a little bit more similar to what Super Broly has on his buff when he does his level 3. Something that's enough in order to make a difference, but not really enough in order to stop your opponent from making a difference. And I wouldn't mind if the buff and the nerf had different numbers associated with them. Just for a numerical example here, I wouldn't mind if the buff gave you, let's just say 15%, while the nerf gave the opponent 5%, just as an example. Because I'll guarantee you, when your opponent's nerfed and they're frustrated and like the entire community community is frustrated by getting nerfed, they don't care about the Easter egg that it's 21%. That stopped being funny the first day she came out, so that's not something I would necessarily hold on to. Now, while she does have a lot of options at her disposal which make her a really formidable character, I think just really the nerf is the only thing that needs nerfed. And if that level 1 was adjusted, then I think she would fit pretty comfortably with these guys up here. And to be honest, these guys up here are perfectly fine as they are, because I think it's okay to have strong characters in a fighting game. But you guys let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. What changes do you want to see in this upcoming patch? And while you're at it, subscribe for daily Dragon Ball FighterZ content and check out these videos next. As always, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys back here tomorrow.